My studio is a mess. I did a video earlier this year where I was organising it, and yes, I have been buying more supplies, and so there was more to fit in. And yeah, there's just been piles piling up everywhere, and I need to give it a good sort out. So come with me, let's organise my studio. It's not a full-on organisation, but it definitely needs a tidy. So you're going to keep me accountable, and I'm also going to be sharing some of my favourite art books on my shelves. So I thought it'd be a fun, nice way to tie that in. I'm going to be sharing some reference books and also some art books where I get a lot of inspiration. If you need to tidy your art space too, then hopefully this is good motivation, and let's get on with some sorting. So hello, if you're new around here, my name is Katie. I'm a full-time sketchbook artist. I have been ill this week, so my voice doesn't always sound like this, but the longer I'm leaving it, the worse it's getting, and I need to get this video out so I can keep with our weekly schedule. But yes, I am a mixed media artist, which means I have quite a lot of stuff to fit into my small studio. Here's a little overview of my bookshelves, so you can see some of the books that I'll be sharing about later. I do give this a sort, but there are definitely some really lovely ones here, which I want to share with you today. But first, I just need to tackle some of the piles. So some things just don't have homes. There were some empty boxes here that needed recycling, and the pretty one I've given to my sister. A few things that need to go away in the tech drawer. So it's basically just me not being on top of putting things away, which I know I need to be. So just putting things back into their rightful places. It really, really helps to have set homes for things. And I found that in the video that I mentioned earlier from when I was first really doing a proper organisation of the studio earlier this year. I've got some books over here on the drawers as well. These ones are lovely to reference, so I keep those as reference books. And then yeah, just putting things away. These magazines I bought for Interior Month, which was a theme we had on Patreon, which I do end up putting on the shelves over there. So it's kind of finding homes for things where they should go or where they need to go if they are new. These are watercolour paints in this bowl, and so I put those with the other paints, which just makes sense. It really helps to group things together, so I do tidy up this drawer a bit. I've got some wipes which are really handy, and then my gouache, so just keeping things together, and that means I know exactly where to look as well. So it's mostly just tidying up, but it is needed sometimes, especially when you're bringing new things in. I have quite a lot of pots. I really enjoy these pots. I find that if it's not out and easy for me to see, then I don't necessarily know that it's there. So I really like having things out. I know it's not for everybody, it might look too cluttered, but I really like it. I really love using pots like I am here, just for putting in sharpeners and things like that. So let's get on to the reference books first. So I'm going to split this up between the video, and we're starting here. This is Trees and Shrubs of Britain. This is a Reader's Digest book, and it's absolutely beautiful. My parents had a set of these growing up, so they feel nice and nostalgic, and they are really, really good for referencing. I borrowed theirs for quite a while, and then I bought my own in a charity shop. I don't have all of them, but they have quite a wide range in this series. I have the Water Life, and I have this one, which is the Trees and Shrubs, but there are some other ones as well which I have my eye on, particularly the woodland animals, so mammals. But I love that one, so that's really recommended. Some really lovely illustrations in that one. And then this one is the Oxford Book of Food Plants. Again, this is a series, so they do have other ones, but they are really, really pretty. Just beautiful illustrations. I prefer to use reference books that are older because I do think they have more of a charm to them. And then I can draw these in my own style. So it's kind of like taking it from a photo and then it's been drawn like this, and then I can take it one step further and stylize it more. So I really love working from these. I really enjoy this, and I mean the book is beautiful. There's lots of information as well. But yeah, I'm really encouraged by this book to just brighten things up and stylize it further. So for me, I prefer to work from here, but if you prefer working from photos, that's totally fine too. But I do find that these sort of books are really easily found in charity shops. Next, I want to share this series, which is the Living Countryside. So this one's woodlands, but I'm actually going to flip through the 4 seasons. So I have quite a few. Again, I bought these in charity shops. I buy all my reference books secondhand, and this was super cheap. I think they were £1 each, so definitely worth a look. And this one is photos. There are a couple of illustrations too, but lots of lovely photos of wildlife and trees. But as I said, there are books with different themes in this series. So you can see a few illustrations on the side, but loads of photos and just so much information. So it's really helpful to learn from as well. I'm going to just do a flip through here so you can see the general vibe of this book. But as you can see, it's absolutely packed through. When I'm looking for reference books, I really like it when it's quite broad and lots of images in there for me to draw from rather than more text. So next up is Old English Villages. Now again, I found this, just stumbled upon it on a charity shop, and I love it. It's one of my favourites. I've done loads and loads of drawings in my sketchbook from here. Again, lots of information, but I am using this one mostly for photos, and it's just so charming. I find these are better than stock images because they feel more real. So they haven't been particularly curated, and they're not AI or anything, like they are very real pictures. Again, a really lovely book that I reference a lot. Another one is the Natural History book. This is the ultimate visual guide to everything on Earth. Now, this is beautiful. This is such an amazing book, and one I highly and always recommend. So there is so much in this book. As you could tell, it was very, very chunky, but there's also lots of information, and just it really does cover everything. So this is the ultimate guide for sure. I used this quite a lot when I was doing my daily art challenge. So I would take like the beetle page or the butterfly page, and I would just draw a whole heap of them in my sketchbook. And that was really lovely. It's really a mindful way to do it. But I also used this a lot when I was doing my icons for Patreon. So it's just a really lovely book to reference and flip through. I tend to do it when I am doing more of a species-based spread, so lots of birds, or if I'm doing mammals. It really does cover them all in here. So this is one that I really recommend. You can get the older version secondhand online. This one's a slightly newer version, but again, you can pick these up in charity shops. And yeah, it's just a wealth of knowledge in here. So one I definitely recommend for your collection. Now, I do have quite a lot of bird books. This one is the Complete Book of British Birds. This is from the AA and the RSPB. So again, lots of gorgeous illustrations in here, as well as some photos. Plenty of information as well, which is really nice to see. I definitely have put a ban on myself for bird books because they are a soft spot for me. But I mean, look at this, so many gorgeous images and so much beautiful illustration. So I do find lots of inspiration from it, as well as things to draw. The thing I like about this one is that there is a range of poses, so it's not just one pose for each bird. They do them in flying positions and lots of different angles as well. So that's why it's one of my favourites. You get like the birds diving, and again, it's not superposed because they have been drawn, and they have been drawn so beautifully. So lots of inspiration and just so much packed in here. It's again a very thick book, and one I reach for quite a lot. Okay, then we have wildflowers. Now you're going to see this and think, what have I done to this book? This is a colour guide to familiar wildflowers, ferns and grasses, and the binding is completely broken. So you're going to see the illustrations and they definitely don't match up with the left-hand page. So you'll have to excuse me for that, but this is very, very well loved. Again, I picked it up secondhand, and again, I reference this a lot in my sketchbooks. I really love wildflowers, but it can be tricky when you are out for a walk to be able to see many, and also to get this lovely like layout or pose of the flowers. So I really enjoy using this one. I use this a lot, and then I loosen it up. So I've used this to reference wildflowers when I'm using watercolour, and then I can again stylize it further. But yeah, even though the binding is very much broken, I still really love this book and use it a lot. And yeah, it's just beautiful, especially for my nature work. Okay, back to the studio tidy now. So again, I do have just piles of things. This is really where I've just been a bit lazy and I just throw things on. So I definitely want to be a bit better about that. Perhaps it should be a New Year's resolution. But yeah, this box is filled with sort of ephemera and things that I want to keep, and lots of collage stuff. So I used to do a lot more junk journaling than I do now, and I still put that sort of thing in here. If you have any ideas for what I could do, because as you can see, it's getting full. So there's birthday cards, things that I've collected from charity shops and car boot sales, and interesting papers and things. And it does just get piled in here. I really should just go through it and start sticking it into a book, because it is sad that it's just in this box. But it is nice to rifle through if I ever do want to. I think it would be helpful if it was in a book. Let me know if you have a box like that and what you do with your items as well. On the other side, this is like my packing. This is for my shop. So again, we've got an empty box. I always keep empty boxes. It's got my packing tape, the free prints I give out to any Etsy shop order. Have my very last zine there, which I'm keeping for myself, some stickers. And again, I just need to sort this out. I do end up putting it back on top, but I do give it a bit of a tidy. This Marrett box, that's my printer paper. I've popped that into recycling now. And yeah, I'm just putting my cello bags back on top. And it is helpful for me to reach them, so it kind of feels tucked away in here. I probably need to give it a proper tidy, but I'm just trying to group things together for now. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting some paper into this sketchbook box. And it's just kind of grouping things together. I find that does really help, so I know exactly where to look. On the top of my desk, I've got some of the Caran d'Ache Neocolor Anniversary boxes, which I'm going to put into a drawer. But again, it's just sorting out my tins. They do tuck away nicely. I do put the ones that I use the most towards the front. And I do know that these are here, so I can still pull them out when I need to. But I do group them by brand, so I don't do it by colour. So I'm just moving a few about which were put into the wrong tin. I do reach for them depending on what I want to use. So that's how I tend to work rather than through colour. Up here, I'm just rearranging it a little bit, moving things about because as I said, I do have more stuff now, so I do need to make a bit more room. But I do love these pots of colour. It does bring me a lot of joy. It makes me very happy. I have quite a few water bowls, which I'm just moving from the side and just neatening things up because I do think it makes a difference. When I feel I'm in a tidy space, it does help me to create in a better environment, and I think that makes a difference in my sketchbook work. This bit's just me sorting out, so you can see I've just piled things up and I'm just putting things away into their drawers. So putting materials with other materials, so like my Caran d'Ache, they are going to live in this drawer, which is my Inktense, my watercolour and my Caran d'Ache Neocolors. So it does kind of make sense. Yes, it's all piled up there, but I do know what's in that drawer. And same for this one, I'm putting my rag in there because that's watercolours. Okay, now on to the next set of books. So I am just sorting out my bookshelf here, but I do want to move on to showing you some of my favourite art books. So these are going to be books that I reference in terms of style and inspiration, and I just love reading and learning more about the artist's work, rather than referencing for them to actually draw. Now, I might use these for master studies, but this first one is on Mary Fedden. So this is written by Mel Gooding, and I really love Mary Fedden's work. I find a lot of inspiration here, particularly with that sort of flattened perspective. I love her still lives, and there's definitely some beautiful pieces in here. So I highly recommend this book. Again, I bought it secondhand, and I just love adding to my collection in this way. I really love her mark making, especially with these black and white pieces toward the beginning of the book. And then, yeah, you can definitely see a lot of stylization and a lot more colour creep in. And I just find it really inspiring. So if you haven't heard of Mary Fedden, then I highly recommend her book and her work. Next up is The Hidden Life of Trees. This is a graphic adaptation. The book is by Peter Walburn. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And this graphic adaptation was created by Fred Bernard and Benjamin Flow. When I saw this in the bookshop, I knew I had to have it. It's absolutely beautiful. I honestly can't get over the art in this book. There is so much here. So there is a novel for this book if you want to read about trees and the incredible ecosystem and all of their quirks and how they work. But I love the style on this, so I can learn and also be in awe of this beautiful work. So really recommend it. Lots of beautiful ink work with watercolour on top. And I bought this when I was doing a 3-month on Patreon, and it gave me so much inspiration. It is split into seasons, so you'll also get these full spread pages. I mean, the shadows on this and the colours are just gorgeous, so I highly recommend this one as well. Again, it is chunky, so I really do recommend it. Okay, more books. They are kind of scattered around my house. These ones are in my dining room, and I want to show you 2 of these. So as you can see, there are plenty of other ones. I've just seen a spider crawl out from that book stack. But this first one is by Mark Hurld. So this is his workbook. He has recently come out with another one called Walker's Invention, but this is the OG one that I have, and it's absolutely beautiful. He does lots of printing, so liner cuts and plenty of collage. And again, there's just so much colour and life that I can take inspiration from here. His books are always absolutely packed with pictures and photos, so highly recommend it, and I find it really inspiring to see how he has put these on other things as well rather than just artwork. So highly recommend that one. And then we have Cézanne. So this book was from the Tate Gallery when they did an exhibition a few years ago. And I constantly come back and forth to this book because I do really love Cézanne's work, and I just find that there's lots of information in here about him that I really love to learn. So there's a huge array of paintings in here. I really love the landscapes and also the still lifes. And I do use some of these books, as I said earlier, for master studies. I've done quite a few on Cézanne's work, so you can definitely do that. I just find it inspiring seeing all these different mark making, seeing all the different colour palettes. So if you're not just doing a study on one piece, you can get a lot of inspiration here. The very final book I want to share with you is The Illustrator's Sketchbook. This is by Martin Salisbury, and I love this one. So there are 60 international artists' work in here, and they have scanned in and shared pages from their sketchbooks. There's a huge array of artists and illustrators in here, including Martin Salisbury himself, but there's also very, very familiar names like Beatrix Potter and Tove Jansson. There's also Oliver Jeffers and Quentin Blake, and then there's some more modern artists as well, which is really lovely to see. And it's just got so much colour, and I really like that it's got lots of different artists working here. So if you ever need inspiration, then a book like this is perfect, because you can just flip through it and see loads of different styles and just see how so many different artists have created so many different things. For me, I find that incredibly inspiring. So this is definitely one that I pull out from my shelves very, very often and absolutely love to flip through. So now we're coming to the end of this video. I know it was a lot of show and tell, but it also gave me a lot of accountability for tidying my studio. So a big thank you for watching. I'd love to know if there's any art books that you absolutely love and you think should be on my shelves, which I'm just sorting out here. But I do hope you've enjoyed it, and a big thank you to my patrons for their support, because I wouldn't be able to share these free videos on YouTube without them. Let me know if you also get a very messy desk and don't tidy your studio as often as you should, because I hope I'm not alone with that one, but I do think it's helpful to get around to it every now and then. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next Sunday in my new YouTube video. See you later.